be a goldfish, right? You have to be a goldfish in life. And what I mean by that is like, there's stuff that happens every day. If I could run through all of the fires that I've put out and it's only Wednesday, I could have let that ruin my entire week or my entire month or my entire productivity of the things that I have going on. And sometimes in life, like we have to have this goldfish mentality where we just get up, we get past whatever obstacle is in front of us, and then we keep pushing forward, right? We can't keep thinking or dwelling about the things that have happened to us, no matter how big or how small.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Purpose Over Pleasure podcast with your host, Alex Payne. And today we have a pleasure of speaking to Miss Desi Wodicker, aka the Muay Thai Princess.
Yeah.
Welcome. Thanks for joining us. You
Yeah,
got a happy smile.
absolutely. Yes, man, it's a good day on a Wednesday, I'll have to admit.
I know. You're up. We're in the same time zone, just a few hundred miles away from each other. That's good. But
Yep,
thanks for finding the time to be here. I appreciate that.
absolutely, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, listen, it's a pleasure to have you here. Do have a few questions written out for you. For those who don't know you, I must warn you guys: do not let this wicked smile, confuse you and lie to you guys. She will kick your ass and leave you there suffering with broken bones, and probably in the ER. This girl is dangerous. Okay, like B said, she's don't let a smile trick you. So yeah,
Well, thank you.
yeah. No, it's awesome. It's awesome because I love it when people are very, very passionate about things. And it seems like, I've been following you for some time now. You're very passionate about your sport.
Yeah.
And me being, being into sports myself and just being a fan of martial arts. I mean, it's a tough sport. So for a girl to be in that sport and dominating it at your level, it's pretty impressive. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, it's a scary sport too. I mean, I think there's like a little bit of imposter syndrome that goes on in there because you're a female and you're like, gosh, should I have this level of aggression? Should I be doing these things that are predominantly like male driven activities? So I question myself all the time, but I also think it's really unique because I was raised by my father. So I think that's part of why I act like a boy so much sometimes. And he's a former Marine, so he's
Yeah.
also very, it was very aggressive growing up. But it's a beautiful sport, and the violence is beautiful if you understand the art and study it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's crazy that I'm here right now, actually.
I love what you said. The violence is beautiful, and it's crazy because a lot of people don't understand that if you channel, and I gotta tread quietly on these thin waters right now, right? If you channel violence in a productive way, it is actually beautiful. It is a form of art,
Yeah.
and it is a very good way of channeling your energy and just coming into peace and disciplining yourself first and foremost. I mean, there's no way, like, for you to get to a level where you are. I can only imagine how much sacrifice you had to go through and how much discipline you had to develop.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, right now, honestly, Alex, things are so busy and it's hard to juggle. I've always been somebody that has like multiple rods in the fire, right? And it's always been kind of like looked down. I've been always looked down upon like in the corporate world. I'm in wealth management. I've been in the field for 13 years with that outside of fighting. It's also a very serious job. And I've had a lot of people discriminate against me because of the lifestyle that I live and the training schedule that I have. And so I've made a lot of adjustments this last year to like really take a hold of the reins in my life and make significant changes so that I can kind of follow and pursue my passion, right? I look at fighting also as a business. It's not just a sport at this point. It has become another avenue or vertical of mine that I have to learn how to manage and navigate from that side of things. But yeah, it's a great time, and I run a full business. I'm a mom. I train full time. Yesterday I had a session during the day. I had 3 sessions in the afternoon. I'm definitely super sore today. But yeah, we just get up every day and we just keep grinding. So it's a constant grind.
You train every day?
Yeah, well, I train 6 days a week typically, and on a day
Okay.
where I feel like or on a week that I feel like I've taken a little step back or rest week, it's 5 days a week. So still a lot.
How many sessions a day?
Depends on the day, but at least two, at least two. Yeah. And that might be pads with my coach, and then we're doing advanced striking, some sparring in there or what have you. But on days like yesterday, I do a strength and conditioning in the morning time, mid morning. And then in the evening, I come back. I have boxing pads with my boxing coach, Angel, and then we have advanced striking. And then after that, we do a full hour of clinching. And so in Muay Thai, that's like basically wrestling standing up, if you put it in the easy terms. But so yesterday was a long day. Today it'll be a little light on pad sessions. I'll probably do a sprint. Saturdays are a lot as well. I get up in the morning. My son does CrossFit in the morning at like 10 a.m. and I have pads again, boxing pads with my coach. So Saturdays are a lot. Um, yeah, okay. Saturdays are a lot. So I do the boxing with my coach. We have drilling with the entire team. Then we do like 10 rounds of sparring, 8 to 10 rounds of sparring. So it's a pretty heavy day. But yeah, the training is intense. It's intense. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, your kicks are pretty vicious, right? Those you got those whiplash kicks, man. I mean, I can only imagine what it feel like to get kicked by those. The first martial art that I was introduced to when I was a kid was Taekwondo.
Okay.
And then eventually, as an adult, I put myself into like jujitsu and boxing.
Yeah.
But I was like looking at those kicks, I'm like, man, I don't want to get kicked by her. No way, shape, or form. Like it's just really good,
Yeah,
impressive.
I think the difference between Taekwondo, I have a lot of friends that do Taekwondo or have a Taekwondo background, and they're so fast, and their kicks are really good and they're hard, but like it's almost like a slap kick versus in Muay Thai, it's like I'm gonna chop the fucking tree down kind of kick,
Hmm.
and it's really different. And you can still knock someone out both ways, right? But it's interesting the style of the kick and how different they can be. So I always noticed that. I was always my buddy Tim, my one of my biggest training partners. He and I train a lot. He helped me prep for my last fight because the girl was a kicker. So we actually just did all kick sparring rounds. My coach set it up. We did simulations. He did all these crazy kicks at me too. Like sometimes he spins, and he's really good, really really good at it.
Hmm. There's only one kick that I learned specifically from Muay Thai, and I had my friend teach me. It's that low kick to the outer thigh, and it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, you slice it. Oh my God,
yeah,
that is a dangerous, dangerous kick. I've
yeah,
experienced it myself. I've implemented it a couple of times. It's like it's a secret weapon, but it's like borderline illegal. So when I watch
yeah,
fights right now, when I watch UFC and I see those fighters use those kicks,
yeah,
it's one thing to see somebody implement it, but it's another thing to see somebody take it over and over again. I was like, oh my God, like I'll
yeah,
probably be in the hospital by now. It's crazy.
yeah. Yeah, we do a whole tempering
You
of
get
the
you get
legs
kicked by
and
those
learning
by those
how, like,
before?
my coach. So, first of all, I've been with my gym since the very beginning, CSA here in Dublin, California. And before I started, martial arts, I had no experience whatsoever. I had never trained any kind of martial arts, and he has crafted me from the beginning to now. It's really kind of interesting, our dynamic, because I'm like his homegrown fighter, if you will, like legitimately
Hmm.
homegrown. He has taught me everything. And so checking kicks properly and eating kicks properly, like that's something I'm super super good at. Like I will check a kick. A lot of people don't know how to check kicks properly, and check kicks in the right way so that they can
Hmm.
avoid the damage on their legs. But like for me, I'll be like fuck you, and I'll like check that kick like hard, like, and they won't want to kick anymore. And
Yeah.
when you have a good check, man, people they'll stay away from it because they don't, that shin to shin contact is especially when someone's kicking you. Usually, you'll catch their instep, and that's going to
Hmm.
hurt way worse than me checking with my outside of my shin. And so,
Hmm.
learning how to check a kick is something like I feel like a lot of MMA fighters need to learn how to do properly, so that they can avoid that. Right? Like you'll see some of these guys that have just red all over their legs and it's
Hmm.
swollen, and they don't know how to check kicks. And so like that's part of, they're just eating the leg kick. But there's a very specific part on the leg that you should kick to. It's like right above your knee. It's like the thinnest part of the meat right there. And when you hit
Hmm.
that, oh
I
man,
know
because
what
there's
you're
a
talking
lot of
about.
meat on your thigh, right? Like your quads, your thighs. It hurts, but there's enough tissue and meat there to like take that kick. better than if it were like placed in the right place, just right above the knee. That's when you can really hurt somebody.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's so much fun to have friends in different martial arts, man. You just learn these little things from them. It's like, hey, it's something different in boxing, something different in karate, something different in Muay Thai. I learned something tonight. I know where to kick.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I don't think
Well,
actually in real life though, I would punch somebody if I was in a confrontation. I probably would leg kick them first, to be honest.
you would not,
Yeah, no,
or
I
you would.
probably would kick somebody. I would leg kick them or teep them, like what we learned, what I taught in at Operation Black Site. But
Hmm.
I would probably kick somebody, their
Yeah,
front leg, hard.
I would have to agree with you on that one. And I learned that way back in the days, simply because of creating distance. And whether I was in
Yeah,
a confrontation or whether I had to use force in the field as a cop, I always created distance using kicks. And God bless me with height, so it would be silly of me not to use my legs. So just
yeah,
a plain straightforward kick or a kick and just to the side of the thigh or knee. It makes you really reconsider kind of doing things. And I learned that the hard way myself because it was like you get kicked really good in the thigh, one of those kicks, and you're like, maybe I should just sit down for a little bit and really reconsider my options. It humbles you. So I would have to agree with you on that one. I love using kicks.
yeah, yeah.
Not
You'll
to say
take
I haven't
someone
failed
out.
at them before.
I've had
You-
guys come up to me like at random places and be like, "Oh, like they've seen me on Instagram and they've asked me to actually kick them in the leg." I don't know what
Mhm.
some weird sadistic like infatuation they have with it,
I
but
know.
yeah, like they've asked to like, "Can you kick me?" like or kick me in the leg, and I'm like, "Okay."
Oh guys, I got kicked by the Muay Thai Princess. I survived.
I mean, I would never like I've kicked people at like 30% and they're like,
Yeah.
"Ah," like they're dying, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no.
So,
I don't know if they're aware of how painful it is. Like I would never ask you to kick me because I know exactly
yeah.
how bad that would hurt.
Yeah, and it's not even that, bro. Like you can literally like dislocate. Because most people don't check when you check out, but most people they bow in and you can like tear
Hmm.
somebody's knee like pretty bad. So it's like people will be like, "Yeah, kick me," but like you don't know how to eat that kick. Like you got to learn how to eat first before you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Take the whole
Y-
buffet, buddy.
I learned something new today. You gotta know how to eat the kick. I know
Yeah.
about checking kicks, but how's that different from how's is eating a kick and checking a kick same thing or not?
No, it's not. Checking is like when you bring your leg up and you
Mm-hmm.
actually check that kick, it meets that shin. But when you
Mm-hmm.
eat the leg kick, you have to eat it the right way too, because if someone kicks you, think about it. If you're not braced for that kick, your
Mm-hmm.
leg could like straighten out and like lock out, right? Like it could be
Mm-hmm.
something like that, or they can kick it and it hit, it goes inward,
Goes
which is
inward.
really
Yeah.
uncomfortable. You have to like, it's an energy and a timing thing. You have to
Mm-hmm.
like basically meet the kick as it's coming, and catch the energy and stop it. Basically, you have to stop the energy from their kick. So you have to almost meet the kick. You know when you're like holding pads, like for
Mm-hmm.
boxing or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, it's the same thing. You meet the person when they're
Mm-hmm.
throwing the punch. The same thing with the leg kick. When you kind of like bend your knee and put your energy forward, you can eat the leg kick a lot easier than, the muscle is ready for it. It's tense. It's prepared for the impact.
Mm-hmm.
Versus if your leg is a little loose and you don't see the leg kick coming, that is, your leg isn't prepared for the impact. So it's just like anything we do, right? With
That's
impact.
interesting. That's interesting because I don't know if you ever heard. And this is kind of what I've seen from my personal experience too, being a cop before. A lot of times, drunk people when they get into a car accident, they actually get out with very minor injuries, and I've seen that a handful of times from serious incidents because they were relaxed or like they were totally asleep in the car. So you
Really?
you saying that you embrace that kick and just kind of tense it up and expect it kind of goes the opposite of, well, we were also talking about one specific muscle, right, versus the whole
Yeah.
body. So there's a science behind it saying that if you just relax when you're about to get rear-ended, it'll be like great. I don't never tried it myself, but it's kind of interesting concept versus just
Yeah.
kind of break
Yeah,
it.
that's interesting. And it's like babies too, right? Babies are so like floppy and like, but they're very durable little things. Like
Oh yeah.
they're, yeah, they're like
Little things.
durable. They're like little durable things. Like people are, oh, gentle, but no, like pick the baby up, move it around. It's been in this belly rolling around for 9 months. Like you don't have to be that sensitive with it. But yeah, it is interesting. But I will say that, I mean, if someone were to do an example and you're like, okay, do not brace for this kick at all. I'm just gonna kick you, right? That kick is going to hurt 10 times more versus, all right, let me show you how to brace for the kick and eat the kick properly and tell me how much that hurts compared to the other one. And the person that says I brace for that kick is going to say it hurt way less. 10, I mean, for certain, probably too, like you're tightening that muscle. And so it doesn't get as deep, right? Because we can get bone bruises are real. And you could probably get a bone
Oh yeah.
bruise to the leg if you're kicked, it's deep enough.
Yeah.
That's what she
I
said.
mean, okay. Now that you put it this way, don't be
Gotcha.
surprised when next time I see you, whether it's somewhere else or Operation Block side of you, in a very non-sadistic way. I'll be like, hey, Desi, can you
Kick me in the
let
leg.
me eat a couple of these real quick, just
Okay.
and then show me the technique.
Yeah,
So
since we're friends, I'm gonna show you how to eat it first, and then
okay,
I got
yeah,
you.
thanks, I appreciate that. Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. Well, listen. So I know we've been talking about, we can continue talking about martial arts for
Yeah.
for a minute at a time. I love MMA, I love martial arts, and but just to kind of like, I want to dive into the person behind who's looking at me right now from the
Yeah.
screen. And the first time I met you was like a funny encounter because you're like, another surprise that I basically encountered. You were like super professional. I come from a financial field, and you have the smile and professionalism going on. And then we step outside. I think it was me and Mo talking, and me and him got kind of like real about things. Dropping it how it is. And you just pull up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm from right there. And I've done this kind of shit. We were like, whoa, who is this girl?
She's
so
spicy. I know. Yeah,
so that was funny.
I
That was authenticity at its finest. So that's why I was like, okay, I gotta get to know where that energy comes from. Like, I want to know
yeah.
where that hood comes from in this person.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm from the Midwest. Okay, that's
Hmm.
number one. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I was actually born in Hawaii. I mentioned before my dad was a former Marine, and we were stationed in Hawaii. My mom is from the Philippines, and so I'm a product of that.
Where,
and
where in Hawaii?
in
Which island?
Honolulu. I was born at
Okay,
Tripler, actually,
okay,
the
okay,
Army base. So
okay.
yeah, so he was stationed there. He was active duty. He's been all over the world, special ops, and it was a lot. And then when they divorced, we moved to Missouri. And if you don't know anything about Missouri or the Midwest, these are the people. First of all, amazing hospitality, right? You go there and you feel like,
Hmm.
wow, these people
Hmm.
are so nice and this and that, and they take care of you, have great hospitality. But the women can do all kind of shit. Okay, these are the women that you find that can cook and clean and do all of these things. These are the women that can build some shit and you'll be like, how the fuck did you know how to do that? These are the women that can go to a professional event and be professional. They can put that hat on, or they can go into a room full of some random strangers and like rap Nelly every verse of it. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
because I can like, yeah, it was like I can rap
Yeah.
pretty good too. And people are always like, who is this person? But I don't really know. I don't know where the energy comes from. I've always been like a very happy human being for the majority of my life, even though a lot of traumatic shit has happened to me. Um, and I don't know whether that comes from like I did gymnastics growing up. I don't know if it comes from,
Mm.
being in tough sports really my whole life, or my dad just pushing me in every single avenue that I've ever been in, right? And I also got into a really traumatic motorcycle accident when I was 16. That changed my whole life as well. I cheered also, like I was a very high level cheerleader. I was going to go to a D1 college. I wanted to go to KU and cheer. And there was a lot of stuff that I didn't get to do. But like part of my upbringing and pieces of that, I feel like have crafted me into who I am today. And it's like it's also like I think part of it is like trauma response. So there's a lot of stuff that has happened which has allowed me to kind of separate things very easily. When stuff happens, and can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. I have in one of my freebies that I have online called the Mindset of a Fighter, and one of the things in there says be a goldfish. Right. You have to be a goldfish in life. And what I mean by that is like there's stuff that happens every day. If I could run through all of the fires that I've put out and it's only Wednesday, I could have let that ruin my entire week or my entire month or my entire productivity of the things that I have going on. And sometimes in life, like we have to have this goldfish mentality where we just get up, we get past whatever obstacle is in front of us, and then we keep pushing forward, right? We can't keep thinking or dwelling about the things that have happened to us, no matter how big or how small. And so, what I say that, meaning it can be a good thing or a bad thing, it can also make you a little insensitive, right? I mean, even though I'm happy and I'm this go lucky person, sometimes it is challenging being an empathetic human being, right? Because you're like, oh, I'm tough. I've been through all of this. And it's hard to relate to people too. So it can be kind of hard to juggle these things. But overall, like I always have tried to maintain my authentic self, even in wealth management, right? I'm a very strong female. I project that very much so with my clients. I can be very serious, but I'm very straightforward. There's no kind of bullshit. And I think that's why my clients enjoy working with me, because it's kind of straight to the point. We need to do XYZ and we need to move forward, right? Like it's not this roundabout thing that wealth management has in it. Say very salesy, I guess, if you will. I don't believe in that. I just want to help people. And that's my passion, helping people. And it has been my passion, especially in finance, right? Wealth management, because I'm helping people with like their entire life, their financial picture. So I have to be serious. There has to be a switch that Des turns on that is like, hey, I'm serious. But in reality, Des is like a very joking, laughing person. And I cuss in front of my clients. Of course, I'm not saying fuck this, fuck that, but the occasional shit here, or what the
Yeah.
hell is going on, or I don't know
Yeah.
what the hell these
You
rules
broke the
are.
shit.
Yeah, yeah, and they laugh and they like that because it's real. You know what I mean? We're
Yeah.
losing this sense of realism, and we're in the world where we have to be politically correct about everything, and we have to, make sure that we're abiding by these social norms. Well, I'm here to tell you, I've never fucking followed the social norm. I've never been a product of social normality, and nor do I choose to continue like get on that train at any point. And I've people like me or they don't like me, and if you don't like me, I don't know what to say, because I always try to lead with love in everything I do. I'm not saying I'm perfect. Like I've definitely behaved in ways that are probably, not the best, but at the end of the day, like I refuse to fall into these lines that the world has for us. I just won't. So, I don't
When
know.
did you realize that you're different and you're not going to be able to fall in line?
I would probably say, well, number one, I've always thought I was different. And I always felt like, and I'm a very faithful person. I grew up, in the church, in a UCC church. It's kind of like Catholic church, but now I'm a Christian, and I'm a believer, and I have a relationship with God. And I think that I've always felt like, especially with my sports capabilities, I'm like, wow, God has given me this gift to perform as an athlete, and I feel very blessed for that, right? Like I've always been like, and then after my accident, after I lived past that, my uncle passed away. And I held on to this like survivor syndrome, I think is what it's called, like when you survive and the other person passes away. And I've always been like, too, like, what am I supposed to be doing with my life? Like, what am I here for? Like, there's a reason that I was going 60 miles an hour on this motorcycle head on into a Yukon and I lived, right? And so I struggled with that for many years, this identity crisis of like, who am I supposed to be? What am I supposed to do? And how am I supposed to share whatever it is with the world, right? Like, I have these things. Now it's like, how do I put them out there? How do I make them valuable, because they are valuable. The lessons that I've learned, the experiences that I've had are valuable, right? I mean, when I was 18 years old, I almost didn't graduate high school. I was living in East Side St. Louis in this like trap house, with friends that were not really friends. Okay. Like, so when I say that my experiences in life go far beyond just the scope of what people normally see on the outside, today I'm put together, right? Today I have the things, I have the businesses, I'm an intelligent human being, but that's come from all of the stuff, right? That's grinding and finding your way and just scraping through, just trying to make it. Okay. And now it's like today I'm making decisions that are from my authentic self, right? Versus like from this survival mindset, which is really empowering. But it's like getting in that journey and finding out where that middle ground is has been hard, you know. So I'm still on that. I'm in the beginning stages of what I believe are my authentic purposes in life, right? But yeah, I've always felt like I was special in some capacity, and that's just my self-belief about me, I think, growing up, that I'm like, I'm special. Like I think my grandma and like some of the women that are in my life helped me with that, because I wasn't raised by my mom. So yeah, I don't know, you know, we're all special, and sometimes it's hard to see that, but you gotta like, first of all, your peers and the people that love you, like I always encourage people to get feedback, right? Like, can I get feedback on how I'm doing, or feedback on this? People don't want to ask for feedback because it's scary. If someone says something bad, they don't want to hear it, right? But if you feel like you ask your family member, hey, why do you think I'm special? Like, what is a quality about me that, or what do you think that I am good at? And so like for people that are struggling to find that about themselves, like that encouragement, you know, the people around you are the best people to ask, you know. Hey, why do you think this? Hey, what do you think about me? Or what do you think I do very well? And like finding and asking those questions, you know. Yeah.
Talk to me about your upbringing. I know you mentioned. I mean, I can only imagine it was maybe a little tough or very extremely disciplined to have a dad who's a Marine. But then you also mentioned your parents got divorced and said your mom wasn't really involved in it. What what did you have to go through, and how did that shape you into the person you are today? But you also seem like you have
Yeah.
another significant person in your life raising you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, being raised by a man is interesting, right? I mean, I met my mom, I think I started like really having a relationship with my mom when I was like, I don't know, middle school, probably. That's when we started coming to California and visiting and things like that. But it was also very different because I didn't get that maternal um, guidance, right, growing up. And again, like it was very hard for me to have relationships with women, I think, and be trustworthy, or be like trusting of women, because I felt like there were so many different like letdowns, you know. My stepmom that kind of raised me a couple years growing up, you know, there's some abandonment things in there, but you know, to learn how to be a woman, you do have to have women around you, just like men, like single moms. Like I'm a single mom, I can't raise a man. I can raise a young gentleman, but I can't raise a man, you know what I mean? Like it takes that. So learning how to do like healthcare things with your body, all of these things, that alone I had to figure out on my own, right? How to respect yourself as a woman, and that has been something that I didn't really get, like how should men treat me in a way, and like what are the boundaries and things that I should accept as a female. So those things I think are really huge when you're in your upbringing, when you are being raised by both parents, learning both sides of the table. um but yeah, it was really challenging uh to not have a female figure, and I think today, that's why there's a lot of women that do come to me. I there's a piece in there that I find a lot of passion in speaking to youth, right? Because I felt very alone when I was young. I felt very alone, very lost. I was always just trying to figure things out for myself, and I never really under got the concept. I never had a mentor. I never had a mentor to like bring me along the journey and help correct me. I just had to fuck up and find out. You know, I just had to fuck around and find out, basically. And I never had anyone to be like, you know, guide me in that direction. And I really wish I would have. It makes me sad to think like, gosh, I was so alone and I just had to like be a positive little butterfly and figure things out, make mistakes, hang out with the wrong, and it has taken a lot of my life, Alex. It's taken a lot of my life, and the mistakes, even, you know um legal stuff, and all of this stuff. I never really had that guidance. So for me, I feel like pouring into someone else, pouring into youth, is so important, because you can change someone's life, right? And I wish I had someone like me. I wish I had someone like Des to help guide me and teach me. Like my sisters, man, I'm brutally real with my sisters. I mean, all my siblings, there's 8 of us, and I tell them the ugly and the good, and I got stories to connect the dots for them. And when they were younger, of course, we're talking about sex, we're talking about drugs, we're talking about all of these things. I was very, very open with this stuff. And when they were younger, they'd be like, "You're so weird, you're so this, like that." And I'm like, "No, honey, I'm just being honest with you. This is life." And now that they're 21, 20, they're in college, they're actually calling me for these things: advice, drugs, partying, all of this stuff, sex, all of this stuff that they feel comfortable. I took my sister to get her birth control for the first time, like, and so the more that we start talking about these things to our young people, the better off that generation is going to be, because it's looking kind of scary right now.
You think, girl?
So,
I'm. Let me tell you, it's not looking kind of scary. It's pretty scary. I mean, as a person who's out there, on the streets, just facing the ugly side, the underbelly of the society,
yeah.
it's going pretty bad. And I would have to attribute that to the fact that we have a lack of fathers and proper role models. So everything you said, I
Yeah.
100% agree with you. I mean, I had to go through the same thing myself.
Yeah, the lack of mentorship is hard, Alex. And when you tell someone, "Hey, you need to get a mentor," that's also not an easy task, right? When I started understanding that there was value in having a mentor, obviously social media wasn't as broad as it is today.
Hmm.
But I didn't know who to turn to. Like, I was
Hmm.
like, a mentor, like, how do I find that? Like, where do and it wasn't until, like, I started living in the correct ways, I guess, and integrating myself with the right people. Because my dad used to always have this saying: "You hang out with shit, you're going to turn into shit." Okay.
He wasn't wrong.
He isn't. And so I had to take a step back and look, like, who are the people that are involved in my life, right? Like, who are the people that are actually involved, and do I would I take advice from those people? And if your answer is no, well, then you need to make some serious fucking adjustments. The thankful thing about today is that if you are looking for mentorship, or if you are like, it's very easy to go online and find the right people, right? And potentially get involved with people. I mean, even Operation Black Site, there's been amazing mentorship throughout that entire process of going there and interacting with people like you, with people, that are involved. And today I can say, like, I've legitimately built a community. Like, there's a thing to building a community of people around you. Um, even if you're an introvert, even if you're, doesn't matter what kind of person you are, you can find community and mentorship in places that are going to serve you well. So I do believe that.
No, black side is definitely a good thing. I'm not just saying it from a perspective that I like to shoot and I love tactics, like I geek out on that, but just overall, just meeting people on the same vibe. Yeah, I kind of had to go through the
Yeah.
same thing as you did. My thing was, there's an old saying that says, "When the student is ready, the teacher will appear." So I had to go through years of trying to get myself out of the gutter where I was at before I think I
Mm-hmm.
was mentally and emotionally and spiritually prepared to receive the mentorship. And then next thing you know, boom, I got Bedros. Boom, I got my business mentor who's now my partner and the closest friend. And then boom, I have other mentors that fall into my life. Dude, I had like, and I don't know if it's really him or not, but the message sounded very personal. I had like Andy Elliott reach out to me in my DMs. So and
Oh,
he's like, yeah, he liked my photo. I have the before and after where I was like fat and I became like sliced, and like he just liked that
yeah.
one photo. And I was like, and then sends me a DM, and then we talk for a minute, and obviously now it's a different conversation now. But I was like, when the universe sees that you're actually doing something with yourself, it will deliver. It will
Yeah.
deliver. I strongly believe
Yeah.
in that. So what I do right now is I coach young men But what I'm trying to do is, I don't know, how old are you? If you don't mind me asking.
34.
Okay, we're the same age, right? I'm 35. I'm older than you, kid. I'm just kidding. Um, I know, right? That is
I'll take
funny.
it.
And
I'll
you
take
look
it.
good. You look good. I'll give you that.
Thank you.
In the 30s, I think is where we really start to realize. It wasn't until my late 20s to like beginning of my 30s where I'm like, okay, cool. Like, what am I really? Like, let's look at the mirror.
Yeah.
Let's strip everything down. Like, one time, literally was like naked in a mirror. Like, okay, you're a fat, floppy. Like, I don't like that person in the mirror. And then it
Yeah.
really makes you change things around about yourself in life. But it's the continuous progress, continuous work that you do in yourself, where first part requires just eliminating all the garbage out of your life. And it's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard, especially with friends and family. And then when you finally eliminate all the garbage, guess what? Now you have that empty space where the universe can plug in good people, good information, productive stuff, knowledge.
Yeah.
It's kind of like outweighing the devil. Fear is what the devil uses to substitute all that useless thinking or emptiness in your brain
Yes.
when you're not really following your purpose in life. That's why most
Yes.
people are afraid, they're fearful, they're anxious, they have doubts, and everything just goes downhill for them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I absolutely agree with that. I absolutely agree with that narrative. And I think in my own personal life, I remember I was living in the South Side in St. Louis. I had drug dealer friends, I had people that I was partying, going to the clubs with, doing all of this stuff. And then I basically spent a lot of money from my accident, almost a lot of it, like we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is why, financial management for me has been really life changing, because I'm dealing with these people with a lot of money, and people that come into inheritance, and I can mentor and teach them about the importance of financial wealth, right? And so that's an experience that I had. But there were people that were feeding off of me, right? Feeding off my energies, feeding off my money, feeding off of everything that I had come into, right? And it didn't take me until me losing everything to be like, you know what? I gotta cut. I had like a friend. He was okay. He was definitely gang related, but we grew up together, and he was my friend. But I was like, man, I can't hang out with this guy anymore. He's not good for me. He's not involved with the right people. He's not blah blah blah. And yeah, like I had to cut him off. I mean, for like 3 years, he hit me up on Facebook, like, dude, why are you, like that's messed up. But dude, I had to cut all of that craziness out of my life in order for me to like get to this next chapter. And sometimes we do have to do that, even with fighting. And that's in a different level. But like I'm so passionate about fighting that, you know, I don't even family, I don't, unless it's my son, I don't let it get in the way, and my family's like, "Oh, you never come by," Well, dude, Sundays, I'm sorry, I'm resting. Like it's been a crazy week, and I'm managing all this stuff, and Sundays are my days to, relax and reset. And if I don't do that, I can't be prepared for the next week of battle that I'm about to go into. It's like every week is a battle, and I need to make sure that I'm in the best place that I need to be to tackle whatever it is that happens that week. So yeah, there's certain things that happen and I'm like, no man, I can't make it, or I'm sorry, like, I know this is important to you. But I mean, my best friend had to like tell me a couple years ago, hey, like, you're not showing up for me and I'm showing up for you. And for her, we've been friends for almost 20 years. So I'm like, you know what, you're right. Like I gotta definitely, but please understand that like this is not because I don't want to hang out with you or I don't want to whatever, but like I will make more of an effort to start being, take initiative to hang out and do things, once in a while. So yeah, I mean, sometimes, bro, you gotta love something so much to be willing, or be passionate about something so much, be willing to actually make the drastic changes, because that's the first step, and it's hard. We're creatures of habit. You know what I mean?
We definitely are. We definitely are. There's a gap that you have to go through. There's a period of time in everybody's life, and I know every successful person or person that's doing something for themselves, and I guarantee you've gone through it, if not still going through it. There's a period of time where you're going from a place in life where you had your friends and your family and your group, right, and your tribe, and you're trying to level up in life as a person and change, but you're not where you want to be, and you're not where you have the friends on the same level and mindset. So there's this gap of emptiness, of loneliness, and it's a lonely road. It's a lonely fucking road. But you just have to keep going because you're gonna start losing the people who you thought are important in your life, and they might be important. They might love you and adore you and wish the best for you. But you have to go through that gap until you start finally leveling up and meeting the people that you want
Yeah.
to meet, because you don't want to be that one crab in a bucket where the rest of the crabs just keep pulling you down over and over,
Yeah.
over and over again. And when you finally climb out, they hit you with, oh well, you changed. No shit, you think I worked so freaking hard for so freaking long to be the same? No,
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
a changed person. And it's hard,
Yeah.
it's really hard to explain that concept to people that you love, because you have to kind of go in between the two sides of, I don't want to be brutally honest with them, but I have to. So I don't want
Yeah.
to hurt their feelings because I love them and I know they love me, but I have to. So, and
Yeah.
that is the challenge. That is
Yeah.
the real challenge.
I feel like the softest way to say that is, hey, I'm going through a lot of personal development things right now. And I think it would be really helpful for me to somewhat isolate in a way so that I can get a perspective about my life and the people around me. And I'm not saying that you're not a part of that in whatever capacity, but the way that we interact might change, right? Because I have to do these things for myself. And I think that anybody that truly loves you and you say that to them would respect that, give you the space, and then allow you to recreate certain boundaries, right? Like my dad used to always said, you have people, your friends and your associates. If you look on your arm, where is each person on that part of your arm, right? Like obviously if someone, you start building relationships with someone, they're going to come closer to your heart, right? They're going to come closer to that. But if someone fucks up and they fucking disrespect the boundary, well, motherfucker, you're all the way over here right now. And so everybody that we interact with has this space on our arm, and you have to decide where that is. Maybe with some people, they're all the way up here, and that motherfucker should not be up here. They need to be down here. You know what I mean? So yeah, you gotta readjust that. And sometimes we gotta, like what's his name? Billy Currington says, "Let me down easy." Like that country song that he has. Like,
I
yeah,
heard that
like
song.
but there's a way I think to manage the relationship because it's still a relationship. You don't want to just people like, oh, I think you're fucking toxic for me or whatever. No, like, hey man, like this is what I'm going through, and like if they love you, they're gonna respect the boundary. And if they don't, well then, hey honey, you just saw the real colors right there.
Yeah, and then you be like, well, motherfucker, time to get off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Talk to me about that accident. I know it was a very transformational part of your life. I mean, I've seen the
Yeah.
photos. It was pretty brutal. I mean, you look like a different person, dude. I'm like, who is this girl right here? Because that is
Yeah.
not the person that I met. So it was very, can't say impressed in a good way, but I was like borderline shocked. And it seems like, from what we talked, it's a very transformational part of your life, and it made you who you are today. So give me a little
Yeah.
rundown of what happened and what was the breaking point in your life
Yeah.
around that.
Yeah, so I just kind of came out with that like this year. Like I've been on Instagram a long time. You see like I've built my following. I'm still working on it. It's an everyday thing, and I've never shared with my followers about that. Like only people that are close to me really know that that actually happened to me because I don't want people, first of all, I grew up with a Marine dad, I already mentioned, and I never want people to feel sorry for me, right? Like I never want to give anybody anything for them to act a certain way to me. Like I want to see people's authentic self, right? Like I don't want them to ever, so I never really came out with that. I never really wanted people to feel pity for me. I just didn't want it to be part of my journey. And then as I was going through therapy, as I've been talking with my mentors and other people, like, Des, like this is a part of who you are, and like you need to start embracing certain parts of you and not give a fuck what anybody thinks. Like I'm an amazing fucking human being, and I believe that. And I can stand here and say, like, I try to do the right things in every single avenue in my life with care and with caution. And I'm not perfect. I fuck up all the time, right? But if I'm fucking up, it's because it's just the lack of awareness or whatever it may be or understanding of the situation. And so, but coming out and telling people that this thing has happened to me has really helped a lot of people thus far. Like, and it's only been a couple months that I really kind of came out. But yeah, like, dude, I was freshman year in high school, varsity cheerleading, varsity soccer, okay, head of my student council, the freaking winter queen of whatever, right? Like I was the only brown girl basically in my school. So I was very unique growing up too, because it was very white or black in St. Louis. There was never anything like me and that existed. And so people were drawn to me because I have this exotic look to me and all of these things, and I'm a great athlete. I got good grades. I was like the fucking perfect student, like my dad didn't accept anything more than B's. Like my shit was cookie cutter put together. Okay. That's how I was growing up. I really was. I was a little butterfly. It was mariposa. Like I was just happy, like even though there was a lot of crazy stuff in my upbringing, it just never affected me like in that way. I was always just a happy kid. And yeah, like I had dreams, big dreams to do big stuff and achieve things, go to college, live a normal freaking life, get married, have kids, stuff like that, like the American dream, I guess, if you will. And I always told myself, like, oh, I'm never going to get divorced. I've never been married before. And I've been very cautious about that kind of commitment to somebody because I find it, it would really affected me, divorce with my parents and everything like that. So I've never gone down that journey yet. But like, yeah, I had a lot of stuff. Like I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I had a whole fucking plan for myself. And it derailed everything. I was going out to California to visit my mom on spring break. I had Nelly first row tickets with my best friend Brittany the day I got back from spring break. And the day before I was supposed to leave, we had a huge barbecue at my mom's house. Everybody was there. We were eating everything. And my step uncle, who was there, he's actually was in the police force, I think, as well. I don't know if he was sheriff or what he was, but he competitively rode motorbikes, speed bikes, right? The road bikes. And so, yeah, I never got on a motorcycle in my life. My dad never allowed me to get on a motorcycle. He was very, very strict about that. So it was actually my first time on a motorcycle. And of course, I had the jeans, I had the boots, I had the jacket, I had the helmet, everything like that. And where Dublin is, they were doing construction. So the street was like kind of windy and hilly. And so, man, I got on. My sister was like, do you want to go first? And I was like, yeah, I'll go first. And I get on with this guy and everything's fine, man. We're going. And then he starts going really fast down the road. And I'm holding on to him. And next thing you know, we get to somewhat of a flat point. We're going pretty fast. And it's just a 2-lane road, right? Like it's 2-lane road. And 2 Yukons start coming up this bend. And next thing you know, on this straightaway, he just starts veering in the other lane. And next thing you know, the first Yukon saw us, of course, and it was right behind my mom's house, like literally right behind the house. They were barbecuing in the backyard. The first Yukon goes up on the green to try to avoid us, but his buddy behind him didn't see us. And we just went almost sideways into, I remember vividly hitting the front of that fucking truck. Like that vision in my head will never go away. Like when I tell you that's just there for life, it's there for life. And it's crazy. And so, yeah, man, I blacked out, I think I fucking did some kind of somersault or something crazy, woke up and realized that we were in a really scary situation. I took my helmet off. I looked around, the guy's front glass is all busted. And I see my uncle over there and he's laying lifeless. So I start screaming, help, for help. And I run over to him and I try to pull up his visor to check on him. And he's gone. And it was crazy. So, I'm like screaming for help. Obviously I'm in this state of shock, and I get in this guy's car and he's calling OnStar. Thankfully there was a fire department right across the street, like right there where we had the accident. And they had to bring the choppers in. And, but I get in his car and I'm bleeding all over my legs on the jeans. And I'm looking at the guy and I'm like, man, he's looking at me fucking crazy, bro. Like I'll never forget the look on his face. He was like, don't worry, I've already called OnStar. He's freaking the fuck out, And I'm like, man, I got blood everywhere. So I pull the visor down, man. I pull the fucking visor down and my jaw is all the way back here. Like it had completely dislodged itself from my face. And I had bit off my lip. I've always had pretty big lips. My dad used to joke and be like, "Hey, can I roll down the window or your lips will flap out?" But like, yeah, man, I pulled on the visor, bro, and my lip is hanging down. This tooth was all the way in the back underneath it was fucked up. I passed out. I was like, oh, there we're at. I was like, oh my God. I mean, just imagine. I want everybody to sit there and look in the fucking mirror and imagine your jaw all the way back here, like in the back of your fucking face. And I was like, I'm out. And so the next time I woke up, all the fire department, the emergency is coming, and they're telling me to wake up, and they get me out of the car. It fucking put me in the back of that helicopter, in the back of the helicopter. And bro, I had a fucking panic attack back there. I was freaking out because it's so small. Like, I'm sure all my military personnel, people that've been in, if you're injured and they just slide you right back there. It's kind of crazy. It's very claustrophobic. But yeah, man, like that's what happened, and it took a long time to get back. Well, I'll take it back. My dad flew out to California. He was pissed. He was fucking pissed. And I was in ICU for like a week. My hand was broken. I had road rash. My shit's all fucked up. You saw the pictures. That was probably like a week into it that they had to wire my jaw shut. It was really, really a crazy situation. And I was in the hospital for like 3 weeks. I had to like kind of rewalk again. I couldn't walk. Like it was a lot. But the one thing that happened though was my dad pushed me really hard. He's like, you're going to get the flight. When I hadn't gotten out of bed for 3 weeks, he had me walk down the hallway, and he was like, because he wasn't happy with the medical treatment that we were getting in California, so he wanted to go back to St. Louis because we have amazing medical, we have SLU there, we have a lot of technology for medical. And he was like, get up, you're fucking gonna walk, and we're getting the fuck out of here. I'm getting your stuff, we're going. He was ready to get me out of there. And he pushed me, and every single way along that journey he pushed me really hard. He made me go back to school actually faster. I mean, dude, I was like 125 at the time, 130. I was a little thick thing, right? And I was 198 pounds afterwards. It was after a 3 week kind of period, 98 pounds. I was very thin. I had my jaw wired shut. Shit was swollen, but he made me go back to school like relatively quickly. My jaw was wired shut. I couldn't talk to people were like, she lost her leg. She fucking lost her arm. Like there were all these crazy stories that I had to deal with in front of my peers. Right. So when kids talk about like, oh, I got to deal with this, with these kids are bullying. No, like I had to go to school, my fucking jaw wired shut. I had a teacher try to get me to speak out loud and read a thing out of a book. It was evil. It was like a very evil thing that she did. Actually made me speak out loud, and my jaw's wired shut. It was really, really bizarre. I'll never forget that treatment that she had with me. But there was a lot of things that happened throughout that journey that I had to like toughen up a little bit. My jaw wasn't healing properly. They had to go in and re-break the jaw actually. So I had to have full reconstructive surgery again on my face. Like it was fucked up. But there were a lot of things that happened throughout that journey that today, like, dude, I wouldn't be who I am today. And sometimes I think, again, because the trauma, I forget these things happen to me as a way to just block them out. And those are things that I've dealt with over the years of processing these things and learning how they can actually empower me more than pull me down. Because for a long time, it pulled me down. And a long time it took to get out of that rut. And I didn't do that with anybody. Like I did that with Desiree. That was a conscious decision Desiree had to make to say, okay, I'm not going to let this life event, even though it fucking ruined everything, all my plans, didn't go to college, didn't get to do the things, didn't get that job right out of, none of that stuff happened. None of the plans. So it's like not only dealing with the traumatic event, but dealing with when we subconsciously make these plans for ourselves in our life and we tell ourselves these things and we promise these things and then you don't deliver on them for yourself, that's the worst. It's the worst. And so I wish I had, I lashed out. I lashed out a lot. My behavior was really erratic and things like that. My family kind of like cut me off for a while, and there was stuff like that. But when I was in this moment of like erratic behavior, I really needed love and guidance and mentorship and someone to tell me, hey, this is going to be okay. Let's figure out how we can pick up the pieces and create some structure around this for you. So I never had that. And I wish I had enough support for that to happen for me. That's why when I see people struggling, or I say, I'm always like, how can I help you? You know, as long as it's not like they're not taking advantage of me or taking whatever, like I will take that time out of my day to pour into somebody if they need it, because it can be life changing. We never know what people are going through. And so, if you just take a second instead of being judgy or being whatever, and like really like be curious about learning about somebody, I think it can really change the way we interact with as humans, just on a day-to-day relationship basis. So crazy.
Yeah,
Awesome.
crazy story indeed. I can't help but ask, and
Yeah.
I hope you don't mind me asking, why single mom? Like, what is it?
Oh,
Why is it that there's no man out there that can step up to the plate? Or is it you? Is the problem you? Is the problem men? Is the problem career? Is the problem high standards? Like, what is it? And the reason why I'm asking is because this is something that I coach young men, right? I mostly focus on young men. My wife focuses on women, and I'm not gonna lie, she has a lot harder time dealing with women, because women, you guys just don't like. You guys just want to be catty. You don't want to accept your mistakes, and you don't want to listen to another woman telling you to get your shit together. So
yeah.
my job is easier dealing with men. But I'm asking just so I know, because as I coach these men, I want to kind of, I have no choice but to prepare them for the reality of life. There's a lot of women out there who are single moms, and me personally, I'm not the type to be with a woman who has a child. Like my brother did it, and I know we still need men. It falls upon us to raise other men, like it or not. It's real. So what can you tell me?
Yeah. So I had a conversation before with a friend about this, which it's an interesting perspective because I was raised by a man, right? And so as I got older, I I realized the different pressures that men have, which we don't talk about enough. Okay. Women have our role in society and what we do in a family unit, and the responsibilities of a woman are very different. In today's world, the responsibilities of men that have always been there, I feel like are a lot harder because there's people watching everywhere constantly, right? There's always, it's like men have this pressure to provide and do these things that are extremely stressful. I mean, providing for a whole family of children and your wife and bills and all of this stuff and like all of these responsibilities that men have, it's a lot. And I can say that coming from a woman because I provide for another human being, almost 100%. Like I'm wearing the hat. I'm not a man, but I wear the hat. You know what I'm saying? I wear these hats, and I've seen my father raise me and my sister, and he wasn't the most perfect father, but he was doing his best. And so I think it's become harder for men to actually do that job today because of these societal things that we have, these pressures that are in addition to already the pressure that men have to take on. And so I think women need to ease up a little bit. That's one thing. I think women today need to ease up just a little bit, because they don't understand some of the roles and responsibilities and pressures that men have. That's number one. Am I still a woman that believes a man should provide and do all of these things? Sure, I do. I think because obviously I'm in the financial world, money is a deal in relationships, like I'm not saying that like the man has to pay for everything and all of this. No, it's a combined joint unit of things, and we support each other in that way. If you are in a partnership with somebody, Is it nice if your man makes a shit ton of money? Absolutely. I'm sure that feels fucking great. Women don't want to have to work and do things. Okay. But the pressure of like putting that on a man and like constantly demanding of things can be really challenging. So that's one thing, right? I think the spotlight with social and everything like that has put a lot of unnecessary pressure on men, and it's also very intimidating and scary, right? And maybe they don't feel like they have the confidence to deliver on some of these things that society requests of them today. So I think the second thing is like the time, um, the time generation gaps of sorts, right? Like you think about 2 generations ago, men, it was simple. Like they went to work, they came home, they parented their kids. There was no social media, there was no any of these other things like that. And the one thing, especially with raising kids, and I just had this happen recently where I was like, I need to spend more time with my child. I need to actually take him to his practices and go and watch him and observe him and participate. I need to put him in things like CrossFit, and I need to do CrossFit with him. And I need to interact with my child and spend that time. And now I feel like today people are fucking lazy. You know, it's hard when you've had a long day to get up and go take your kid to the fucking basketball hoop and practice basketball for an hour or 30 minutes or watch him, do his thing. Because in reality, kids, they emulate us, and if you don't care about their shit, they're not going to care about their shit. And so first I think it starts with like caring about things that are important to you. Like if you don't care about things that are important to you, how is your kid gonna reflect, how's that gonna reflect off of on your kid? You know what I'm saying? But like men today, I don't think that they're spending enough time doing the things that they need to do, the important things. And it's not rocket science, guys. It's like, it's not rocket science. It's very easy shit. And it's like going down and cooking with your kid dinner. Hey, help me with this. Or just being involved with them. Like, that's your little fucking sidekick right there. Like I look at my kid as my little sidekick. That's why you saw him down in Operation Blacksite. I bring him along for the journey because life is so crazy today. And if you bring your kids along with you along whatever journey that is that you're doing, and then spend a little extra time doing things that they enjoy and taking interest in things that they enjoy, I guarantee you'll see a switch. Even in my own son, just this summer. Just this summer, I made a few adjustments as it relates to spending time with him and being involved in the things that he likes. And his attitude has changed dramatically. It's really kind of crazy. They just want you to care. You know what I mean? But yeah, think with like phones and all the bullshit and everything. Like we're not thinking about the right things. Like our focus is elsewhere. You may have time, but you're doing other shit that's unproductive, or you're not focused. You're just focused on whether it's being on Instagram or being this. Like, I've had times where like, my partner's like, put your fucking phone down and hug me. Like, he's like, put your shit down, and it's just like that. Even my son is like, Mom, can we just, like even at dinner, I'm like, put the phone away. We have dinner almost every night together, right? And I cook dinner. It's we sit at the table, we pray over our food, and we talk. And there's no phones, there's no anything, there's none of that, but just like really being intentional about creating that personal time, you know? But yeah, men too are kind of like little weenies sometimes. Like they need to do more hard shit. New generation, I feel like they need to do more hard shit because I
Yeah.
feel like men, when they do hard shit, they're like raw, like I can take on the world, and like the more physically hard shit that you do, I'm sure that translate in how they behave as men and how they lead, right? Leading is a big thing. If they've never had someone teach them how to lead properly, how can you expect for that person to lead either, though? Some men, they just need to learn how to lead properly, take initiative, and kind of, take hold of the reins, because if you've never had that example, it's hard to do that. It is.
I mean, I will not disagree with you. Everything you said is true, and this is what I teach to these young men. And I know it's I'm starting to realize that it's very glorious nowadays. There's a lot of coaches out there, right? They're like, well, if you make 6 figures, I'll make you a better man. if you make seven figures, I'll get you a six pack. If you this or you that, all right, great, that's cool. What about the guys who don't make six figures? What about these young men who are so fucked up already, who grew up with a single parent, who have absolutely no role models, who's got all kinds of trauma, who had absolutely no examples of leadership and what it's like to be a man in their life? Like, that category really matters. You catch them at an early stage when they're early enough, you can still knock some sense into them. And
Yeah.
it's not as glorious as some of these coaches like whose specific niche is like 35, between 35 and 45 and already successful, established in life. No, like let's try to catch them before, like Mo, remember Mo, he teaches them
Yeah.
through sports even way younger, and I think sports is a way to go. For me, it was fitness and doing hard shit, right? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, being law enforcement, that taught me a lot of great things as well.
Yeah.
But it's catching them at the right time and really introducing them to what it's like being a man.
Yeah.
When I look at the society nowadays, I always say it's 51-49. Like, I would say it's by 1 degree, men are more at fault than women are, because women are more emotional. There's hormones involved, there's fluctuations, there's period and
Yeah.
all that stuff. Men, we forgot how to be stoic. We're
Yes.
deviated from the principles of being a man. We forgot what it's like to be a leader. And leadership, first and foremost, starts with yourself, then your family, and your woman, and then your career, and then everything out there. If you can't be a leader of yourself,
Yeah.
your kids and your woman are not gonna listen to you. They're gonna be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
fuck off."
Yeah.
You can't wake your ass up and go to the gym or control your
Yeah.
diet. So
Yeah.
I would
I
have to
mean,
agree with you on
and if
that
you
one.
want a good woman, like you like for like I'm going to be honest, like dude, I that leadership role for me because I already know how to do shit. Like I can hang things, do construction, do all kind of stuff on my own. I for many years I didn't think that I needed a man. I don't think I didn't need it because my dad taught me how to do all the things, right? That I needed to do to take care of myself and be independent. So if I'm in a relationship with someone, I'm going to expect that above me, like you have to do more than what I can do. Like I'm not like it's unattractive that like I can do drywall and you can't. My dad used to always ask me, this is the line right here. If you're on a date and I think every woman should ask a man this. This is the standard, y'all. I'm gonna give you the gold. The
Come
one
on.
question when I used to like go on a date or if I would go on a date with somebody, I would ask a man, "Hey, I just have a question. Can you do drywall?" And they'd be like, "Well, that's a really random question." And they'll tell you either yes or no. And my dad used to always tell me, "Don't ever marry a man that can't do drywall better than you." And I was like, well, "Okay, dad." And I never used to understand that. But and honestly, in some of your things, you should teach this guy how to fucking do drywall. You should have one section or block where you teach these motherfuckers how to do drywall. I think actually that would be a really cool thing. But the reason he
You think drywall is, dude? There's guys out there who don't know how to change a fucking tire.
I know,
Wait,
dude.
before I get to a drywall in one of my episodes, I need to make an episode of how to change a flipping tire, dude. We got bigger problems than drywalls, girl. Trust me.
But what I'm saying is, hear me out. The logic behind this, okay?
Yeah, yeah. I got you. I got you.
Drywall is actually, even though it seems very simple, it's a hard task to do. You have to be patient and putting the stuff on there. You got to sand it. You got to prep. There's all these things that go into and being involved in like doing drywall that as a man, in my opinion, if you can't do that task, then I don't really want to be involved with you because it tells me number one, no one you have no interest in fixing things, right? Which when you get older, when your man fixes shit, I'm sorry, it's sexy. Like you're like, oh shit, like you just fixed that, you just did that, you know what I'm saying? It's hot. Okay, so that's number one. But number two, like you don't have the patience to learn something like that. Like it takes patience to do drywall. And so if you are someone that can do that, you might have the qualities that are important to me as a person, right? So I think it's like a really good question to ask somebody these days,
Yeah.
like, are you like a man that is like you're saying? I mean, stoic is not the word, but like, are you a man's man? Like, can you do
Yeah.
drywall? Like, can I
Well,
count
I
on
think
you?
I think what you're referring to is this. It's regardless if it's drywall, if it's wallpaper, if it's
Yeah.
whatever. as a man, you should be able to do shit with your hands. You should be able to do shit with your hands. Like my dad, right? May he rest in peace. My dad had fucking demons in him, like
Yeah.
demons. He has just made my mom's life horrible. You know, alcoholic and out of
Oh yeah.
prison, violence, all that stuff. However, there are certain things that I learned from him that maybe the man I am. Number one is hard work. So
Yeah.
the day he got second stroke and got paralyzed, he worked. Always been in shape. I don't know if it's because of the prison or whatever. Always been in shape, right? Doing shit right the first time. And it's being
Yes.
handy. Like growing up, we never needed anybody, not an electrician, not a plumber, not a painter,
Right.
nothing.
Right.
So, and he would take me with him. So since a very young age, I learned how to do shit with my hands. So to me, it's more of when you teach these men, when they hang out with other men, they'll learn how to do shit with their hands.
Yeah.
And nowadays, you don't have to be a drywall fucking expert. You don't
Yeah.
have to be a tire changing expert.
No.
You just gotta know how to work with your hands. And then there's this magical thing called YouTube, right?
Yes.
And you can go in and say how to put drywall, how to change a tire. And as long as you have the idea, it's like working out, Desi, or fighting.
Yeah.
Once your fibers are connected, once your body knows what to do, how to operate, you know how to kick, you know how to punch,
Yeah.
shit is on autopilot.
Yeah.
It's like shooting guns. Once you figure out it's on autopilot,
Yeah.
you use shoot a 50 cal or a 9 millimeter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The idea is there. So we need to bring men back. We need to stop, get them away from this fucking, screen sucking right here. Get
Yeah.
them away from OnlyFans. Get them away from this fat, lazy, obnoxious behavior and
Yeah.
video games and binge watching, and just go do shit with your hands.
Yeah.
At the very least, start working out.
Yeah.
And everything else will fall into place. We've got away from that. Life has become so fucking easy,
Yeah.
so convenient that everything is. Nobody has to work for nothing nowadays.
Yeah.
And when shit really hits the fan, and I see this day in and day out, when shit really hits the fan, it's like, well, where were you, dude? What did you do? You just stood here dialing 911. Okay,
Yeah.
I came, but what happened in the last 15 minutes before I came?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the problem that I see with society.
Yeah. I agree. I also, to add to that, I think problem solving is like a lot of men can't problem solve, or they take the longest route to do things. Like their problem solving skills, I've seen, like, are just, I don't know, very, very loose today. It's very loose.
You know what? I would, and I say this, and I know you're not that type of mom, and I can say this because I was raised by a single mom. I didn't have a dad in my life since I was 16 years old, and I was pretty much raised by my mom, right, and females. But I became a man on my own. So I know you're going to take it the right way. I would blame women for the fact that men are so weak nowadays, because there's so many helicopter moms out there. And
Yes.
instead of allowing these boys in a transformational period where they becoming men, just at least fall on your ass, do shit. It's okay to make mistakes. Like that's what fathers do. Fathers are like the pillars of, I'm gonna help you, but I'm not gonna do shit for you.
Right.
So a lot of these helicopter moms, they just try to do everything for their children because
Yes.
they love them. You women, you love your children, right? That's you're passionate about that. That thing came from you and it's part of you.
Right.
Man, we're more like, all right, motherfucker, you fell on your ass. Cool. I'll help you one time. After that, that's on you. That's life. A life is gonna put you on your knees, and it's gonna keep you there permanently unless you figure out how to do shit on your own.
Yeah.
So there's a whole generation of these children, of young men and young women who are completely not taught and not prepared for life.
Yeah.
And instead, they're taught, like these boys are taught how to treat women, but not what to expect from women. And these women are taught what to expect from men, but have no idea how to treat a man.
Yeah.
And here we are today.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And I can actually, well, there's been moments where I'm like just the other night, I told you I cooked dinner, but it was like a stressful day. We had like, sports, all this stuff going on. And he was with his friends, and then he was up playing his game and all this stuff. And I was just going to make rice and eggs for dinner. Like it was going to be a very simple meal. And he's like, I'm not hungry. Here it is, like 10. He needs to go to bed at 11, right? Because he has tutoring. And I was like, you know what, motherfucker, go cook your own food. I was like, I'm going to bed, Asa. I'm going to go lay down. Like, you need to figure out your food, but you have to go to bed in 30 minutes. So you better go figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, but there have been moments where I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, he's a sufficient young boy. He can do things. So I have to like check myself sometimes. And we do it because we want to get things done, and we want to be, we want everything in order and all of this stuff in our motherly instinct. So like, oh, I'll just do it. But then we don't think about, the harm that it potentially could cause to their productivity later.
It does. They have to learn the hard way. And I raised my niece. She's entering her 20s now, and I was pretty much the father figure for her. Like, she messaged me Happy Father's Day every year on Father's Day, so I had to step in and take on responsibility.
Yeah.
And there's a point in my life where I had to stop myself from trying to protect her and guide her in every direction. I was like, all right, I'm gonna tell you one time, maybe twice, and I'm gonna let it go.
Yeah.
And you're gonna fall on your ass if you don't listen. You're gonna make a mistake, but that's on you.
Yeah.
And she's done certain mistakes, and then so I'm like, okay, cool. Remember I told you about this
Yeah.
6 months ago? Yes, you didn't listen. Now you're gonna have to deal with the consequences.
Yeah.
But luckily, what I taught her way before, over a decade ago, I started teaching her a concept of cause and effect, actions and consequences, way before. So that now when I tell her, oh, you fell on your ass, good. Remember what I told you when you were barely 10?
Right.
Actions, consequences.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you have to deal with it. So she's not giving me a pushback about that, because now that's ingrained in her brain.
Yeah.
That I did that shit since she was like 8
Yeah.
or 9.
Yeah.
So she can't argue with me now.
Yeah.
Now she's like, oh shit, yeah, I did. Yeah, he did tell me, and I did fuck it up. Now I gotta fix it.
My dad used to always say, take responsibility for your actions. That was his thing. Take responsibility
Always.
for your actions. So, hey, you did this. Now you need to take responsibility for your actions. I mean, it's been fucking, it's in there. It won't go away.
I'm gonna wrap this up, but I always like to wrap it up with a 2-part question that I ask every guest, and
Love it.
I know you're gonna have a great answer for that one. Just kind of vibing off of you. I always like to ask my guests this question: what do you believe is the purpose of life? And if you were to have a person who would ask you, Desi, how do I find my purpose in life? What would you tell them?
Wait, I missed you. Can you do it again? Because you
missed me again?
broke out.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah. So it's a 2-part question. What do you believe is the purpose of life? Why are we here on this planet?
Okay.
And how can a person find their purpose and meaning in life?
Ah, I love that. So I think I believe that the purpose in life is to spread love. I genuinely believe that. I genuinely believe that love is the answer to a lot of things, right? A lot of things. But I think spreading joy, that's what the Bible says, spreading joy, spreading love. And any activity that involves you doing that is how you find your purpose. So in other words, right, like if you can change someone's life by doing something that you're very good at, and it provides joy and love and happiness to another individual, that's how you find your purpose. Yeah.
Okay.
Simple.
In other words, get out there and start doing shit.
Yeah, that's true. Get out there and start doing shit. That's very, very true. It's a journey, man. You can find the answers anywhere. You just got to be curious enough to look,
Right? I think just don't be lazy. Just try new things.
Yeah.
See what makes you happy.
Very true.
And I think 20s is a perfect decade for that, because you're still so curious and you have all this energy. Instead of wasting on dumb shit, you can just channel it towards finding what you really love doing.
Yeah.
So then comes your 30s, you can still, because 30s is where you're like, I'm at the point of my life where I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care what they think.
30s hey, bro, 31 hit. I was like, oh, life is there, and I see it, and it's clear,
right?
and oh my god.
Yeah. They say 40s is even better, but I'm not in a rush to get to
No,
40s.
bro,
So I'm like,
I'm
I'm still
good.
in my 30s, dude.
Yeah,
I'm good right here.
I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good. Yeah, man. Well, thank you. Thank you for having
yeah.
me. I appreciate it. I appreciate the conversation. This has been great. And yeah, we could do this anytime. We'll run it back, but I'm happy to help add value into the things that you're doing if I'm down at SoCal. And yeah, keep an eye out.
Beautiful.
I'm
Thank you.
fighting
Thank you.
here soon, so
Thank you.
probably there's a lot of cool stuff coming on board with fighting. I definitely am fighting in December, but I have a couple things lined up for August and October, and hopefully they come to life. So I'll just keep punching faces till then, you know.
I love it. Tell my listeners how to find you.
Yeah,
'Cause I do want them to follow you, and you know you put out some cool content, some badass content, some
yeah,
funny content too. So
yeah,
I'll drop it in the below, but just give them a little quick
yeah,
little
for
ad to follow
sure,
you.
for
Where can
sure.
they find you?
Yeah, so on Instagram, I'm on a couple platforms, Instagram and TikTok. It's Desi Lou underscore Limon. That's both on Instagram and TikTok. And I will be launching my podcast here coming soon, which I'm very excited about. It's called
Love it.
Toughen Up with Des. And so when I start
Okay.
launching, you guys will see that content, you know, on all my platforms. And my first episode will be about my last viral head kick
Beautiful.
knockout, and I kind of like go in the waters of all the things, mentality, fighting, you know, all of it. So yeah, I'm really excited to launch that, and we'll see you guys, you know, see you guys soon on there.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. You know, with the Muay Thai Princess. She's absolutely fantastic. She keeps it as real as possible. You know, I had a great time doing. You made me laugh so many times doing this episode.
Yeah,
But thank you so much for being here.
yeah,
Thank you so much for being you and helping people out there. And most importantly, thank you for being the authentic person that you are and just giving out some really good vibes out there. I appreciate you, Des.
yeah, absolutely, anytime. All right, Alex.
Thank you. Thank you. Good talking to you.